Welcome back to Livie'S Lovelies, your inspirational craft channel, and I'm your host, Fam the Fabulous. For more ideas, inspiration, swaps, and challenges, click the link in the description below to join our craft community, The Maker Exchange, on Facebook. Welcome back, all my artists, creatives, crafters, and makers. Welcome back to the Lovely Lab. Alright, so I typically turn the camera on and do a little color and chat on Saturday mornings, but I'm doing it today on a Sunday, and I'm probably going to spend about 15 minutes. I probably should set an alarm, but we're just going to play it by ear. But let me just check and see what time it is first. Okay, so it gives me enough time to chat with you guys, do a little coloring, show you what I did, and also be on time. Well, make Josh some breakfast for the house, and then be on time for Sunday school, okay? Because the girl has to get the word in for the week. Now, last week we finished off this page, and I finished off some of the finishing, put the finishing touches on it off camera. I think I did the blue background there. And yeah, I think that came out really lovely. Give this video a thumbs up if you like last week's finishing touches. Alright, so focus on the journey. That was for last week. And this week we are sliding, because I told you I am enjoying this coloring book, but I will tell you the quality leaves a lot to be desired, but I'm going to use it anyhow, okay? That's cute. I probably should scan that in and turn that into some journaling cards. That's a really good, nice color job, if I do say so myself. I know that you've seen better, so have I. Who cares? This is good. Moving right along. So I am going to take the page out of here so I can use it in the other book. And I think the page that I want to work on this week is this one. Now, this is from the Me and My coloring book from mom and daughter, and I purchased this book, as I've mentioned before, from a young woman, Latoya Nicole, from her website, actually from off of Amazon, and I color in it, and I just reflect back on being a mother to my daughter. And that was the whole sole purpose. Now, I have deviated away because I'm so busy chatting along with y'all, but still in all, I still keep my daughter Livie in mind when I'm coloring. So we are going to work on this page here. What I like about this page is that I'm going to be able to use some gel pens to color in the fine pieces. The little flowers, if you can see, you probably can't see it here. Flowers there on the seat, and the flowers down there, and then the details for the butterflies, you know. So that'll be fun. All right, and so I was, because this is a color and chat, I obviously need to chat. So I was driving. I've had a busy week this week. I'm going to start this chat off by saying that. As you may or may not know, I have gotten myself back into my original industry, which is real estate, which I love. I think to myself, like, was it this hard before? I mean, before I was constantly, not only did I have my own clients, I was a broker, real estate broker, and I had a small firm. But so not only did I have my own real estate clients, but I also had to mentor and walk us alongside the new agents as they came, as they joined our firm, our brokerage. And so I was saying to myself, well, why does this feel like, am I getting overwhelmed? And I started to compare and contrast where I was at that time to where I am today. And I was reminded very quickly of the saying, comparison is the thief of joy. Instead of me taking this opportunity in this moment to be joyful of the possibility of me having a prosperous career, I'm comparing myself and how I feel and how the transaction is possibly going to go to how I was 10 years ago. And let me say this, although this is related to, this part of the commentary is related to real estate, let's transfer that on over to our creative life. You know, where we were 5-10 years ago, even last week, we're not there. And we do ourselves a disservice by comparing ourselves not only to others, but to ourselves, our former selves. 10 years ago, I wasn't the same person. I had not dealt with the obstacles of life, the ups and downs that I had experienced up to this point. I also did not have the wisdom that guides me each and every day today. So while I am thinking to myself, how did I manage this 10 years ago? Without compassion. Without wisdom. Sometimes I jumped into things feet first. Sometimes from an intellectual standpoint, not from a emotional standpoint, or sometimes from an emotional standpoint, not from an intellectual standpoint. But bottom line is, how I approached things 10 years ago or 10 weeks ago is going to be different from how I approach them today. And so it's important that we don't compare ourselves to others. Sometimes we look out in the creative community and we see someone who is launching a product or a business, and we think to ourselves, maybe I should try this or try that. Well, we don't know what the inspiration behind that. We also don't know the blood, sweat, and tears that went into that process, that launch and where they're headed at that time. So while we may like the results of what we're looking at, to compare ourselves and our results to someone else's, instead of being joyful about where we are at all times and content with where we are, we lose sight of all that goes into our growth. And then sometimes we just, quite frankly, we want what we had before or what someone else has. 10 years ago, I didn't have a kid. Well, I didn't have to worry about being a biological mother, so I could get up early at 5 o'clock in the morning, make calls to clients, and be out in the field until 10 o'clock at night, chauffeuring them around town and going to dinner and putting them on flights and stuff like that. I can't do that now. At the same time, I also didn't have the compassion and the ability to encourage people when they're facing hardships and difficult decisions. So I'm not the same person that I used to be, and I'm not going to get the same results. And at the same time, that doesn't mean that my results are any less. It just means that they're going to be different. I have to find joy in what I'm achieving today and not be caught up in looking back or looking to the other side at other people or at my former self, and allowing that comparison to steal the joy of today. So that is where I'm at as far as this week's conversation and chat. And so I want to ask you guys, I want to pose the question, how often do you find yourself comparing yourself to others or your former self? You can put it in the chat, or you can just ask that to yourself, ponder that thought. I believe that every bit of our life's experiences are to help strengthen us, refine us, provide us with more wisdom, make us more compassionate. Everything serves for our good. So, especially if you believe in He who allows those things to transpire. So, and I am a believer. So my journey has had its ups, certainly had its successes. It's had its failures, plenty of those. But I'm grateful for where I am today, because if it were not for those moments, I probably wouldn't be here today speaking with you guys and part of this amazing community of creatives. Um, who knows what I would be in. Everything lends to the next part of yourself, next part of your journey. So be encouraged with that. And YouTube channel. Now I will be going live in my Facebook group prayerfully this Friday. I'll just have to see how it goes. I'll put the post up as early as Thursday night in my Facebook group. And now again, the link to the Facebook group is in the description box, the Maker Exchange. So if you are interested in hanging out, we've got quilters, we've got knitters, crocheters, mixed media artists, watercolor painters, card makers, obviously journal makers, paper crafters, scrapbookers. We have every type of medium in there. I think we even have a woodworker, if I remember correctly. Got a couple of guys, but it's mostly us ladies. And so it's a great place to hang out. And one of my faves just came back after a little bit of a hiatus, and she does she sews and she makes quilts, but she refurbishes antique sewing machines. Can you believe that? Like the Singer sewing machines, the beautiful black ones with all the ornate flowers and stuff on the side. She does that, which is just so admirable. But from my understanding, she said it's basically taken on a whole nother, it's taken up her creative time. So, but she's back, thank God, because I sure missed her. But yeah, so if you want to come on over to the Maker Exchange and catch a live, I plan to do them Fridays at lunchtime, so it'll be live at lunch with Livie'S Lovelies. And once I get the hang of the whole live action thing, I'll probably swing it on over here to YouTube. But I'm doing it in baby steps because I don't want to commit to something that I'm not able to keep up with. So I've got to get a handle on how the technology works and the interactions and stuff like that. Because like right now, I'm calling and chatting, but I'm not looking at a screen. And that's where the chat would be. That's where, if you were on a live, you would be chatting with me as I'm coloring. So I'd have to make a mental note to look up every once in a while. I think that must be orange too. This looks like a bike that we had. Well, yeah, I remember when we were younger. My sister and I, listen, my sister's a couple years older than me. My brother's 6 years under me. So anything my sister got, pretty much we had to share. Anything I got, I had to share with her. So my sister got a bike, obviously. She learned how to ride a bike before I did. And it was a pink bike. It was a pink Huffy, if I remember correctly. And so, oh my gosh, by the time I learned how to ride that bike, we were a hot mess. Now on our street, there weren't a lot of houses. Like per block, there were 3 houses per block. 3 houses on this side, 3 houses on that side. So we could ride up and down our block because we knew everybody on that block, on our part of the street. So we, my mother did, during that time, the parents didn't have to be outside all the time. So my mother, she would let us go outside, but we'd have to keep an eye on my brother. Well, that got to be a bit cumbersome, okay? But the adventures that we would have on this bike, I would not recommend it to my son. My God, today, let me tell you something. So, just like most kids, we had the whole roller skating, holding a string that's attached to the bike. Of course, we did that. And when she would turn a corner, if I didn't let go off to into the street, I would go, and you weren't allowed to be in the street. You weren't allowed to be in the street. But needless to say, that's oftentimes where I ended up. I don't know how many times I skinned my face, skinned my knees, But that was all part of the allure of the bike, because we could ride two to a bike, but it's like the second person ain't doing nothing. So what's the point of that? Give me the skates. Let me get on. Let me hold the chain or the rope, the jump rope that was attached to the bike, and in that way we both can be moving, doing something. Well, then, if you remember the little red wagons, the radio flyers, my brother got one of those for Christmas, okay? And he loved his radio flyer wagon. He would put all his Legos and his toys, and he would trot that thing around the yard, okay? And so one day, my sister and I came up with the great idea of tying the wagon to the back of the bike, okay? Tie the wagon to the back of the bike, and I'm gonna skate along, This is gonna be an exciting adventure, and then put the kid, my brother Jay, in the wagon, okay? You already know where this is going. You already know. So we tie the jump rope to the handle of the wagon, and remember the front of the wagon, the wheels turn left and right, okay? But not the back ones. So we tie the jump rope to the back of the bike and to the handle of the wagon. We put my brother in there with a pillow so that he wouldn't bump around, because he was a toddler. He was still in diapers. Okay. Yeah. We were so ingenious, or so we thought. So my sister, and at our house, alongside of our house, the driveway went from the street to along the side of the house, into the back of the house, and into the garage. And then there was more backyard on the right hand side of the house, in the back. And it came up the side, but we got a head start from the garage coming out to the street. So garage was here. My sister's on her bike here. She's coming out to the street, or where the street is at, to the front of the house. So she gets a head start. She's pulling this wagon, she's pulling this wagon, she's pulling this wagon. Right before she gets to the street where the sidewalk is at, she makes the right. Okay? Out slides my brother. He's up in the air. I could feel it going in slow motion. Up in the air he goes. And he landed between the sidewalk and the street, which is where the patch of grass was at, thankfully. And in the lady across the street from us, there was an older couple, Mr. Rufus, and I forgot what his wife's name was. Some days later, and somebody must have told my mother, I'm thinking it was them, because they were retired and always home. And so my mother banned us from using the jump rope on the bike. But let me tell you, we had already gotten our fill of it. And I'm telling you, I felt like we came real close to my brother's meeting his maker. That we had opted to let that little part of the adventure go. We weren't going to be revisiting that. Okay? That was a lesson we learned all on our own. And so had my mother never said anything to us, we would have been just fine. Because we wasn't doing that again. Oh my gosh. Because my mother would have been like, my baby! He was the younger one, so he could do no wrong, my brother. But anyway, so yeah, that's what these bikes remind me of. Ours had streamers coming out of the handlebars. And I say our, but my sister would love to believe that it was just for her. No, it was ours. Drop in the comments any of your youth bike adventures, or should I say misadventures. As we got older, we were allowed to ride in the streets, and that was probably the highlight. It was like, once you got to ride in the street, you had arrived, okay? You were no longer a kid. You weren't a child. You might have been a kid, but you weren't a child anymore. Your parents trusted you to make decisions on how to keep your own self safe. Oh, the youth. Oh, the minds of our youth. I think for the sky, I'm gonna do these clouds in white, and then I'm going to go around with the blue Bria Reese watercolor creams. because those seem to work really good on these pages. Yeah. I love the butterflies on this page too. All right, and now one more thing I want to add to our weekly chats is what we're watching. What am I watching this week? Let me tell you what I stumbled upon. Now, if you've been on this channel for any amount of time, then you already know that I enjoy BBC, UK shows, especially if they're like mystery or legal or things of that nature, or whodunits or dramas. Not necessarily drama shows, but like movies that have the drama in the back. I came across this show called Lupin, Lupin. It's on Netflix, and I had seen it in the newly released part before. But here's the thing for me. I am not a fan of voiceover movies. I can't stand them. I cannot stand them. It drives me nuts. I do not want to see it. And even the ones that have I don't care where they're from. That's probably where I draw the line at on movies, no matter what the genre or what studio is made. It just does something to me to have to look at the lips moving, and it doesn't match the voice, especially if the voice isn't even in the same accent that the movie's in. Nevertheless, I'm going down a rabbit hole here. So I might have watched the trailer. No, I didn't watch the trailer because that's how I got where I was at. So I think I saw a preview of it on Hulu or one of those places, and I saw that it wasn't the main character. It must have been like one of the secondary characters or what have you. But I could tell that they had English, they had American accents, and the show is the series is shot in France. Okay. So automatically I'm like, no. Dismissed it. Didn't think twice about it. Well, I was folding laundry, and I'm like, let me go ahead and find something to watch. So I was like, let me check the trailer on this. I watched the actual trailer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I not? That show is amazing. It's a series. I think it's based off of a book. I don't know, but nevertheless, it opens up with father and son. They're two African French. They're from Senegal, and they live in France. And the father is a driver for a very wealthy businessman, and the French businessman is going through a financial hardship with his business, and he bought his wife this 20 million, let's just say euros or dollars, whatever it is, worth 20 million necklace. And so at the time where they're going through the financial hardship, he frames the father, the guy from Senegal, to with stealing the necklace. So the father ends up going to jail. I guess racism is alive and well in every country. Oh gosh. Anyway, so they automatically believe him. They believe the businessman, although there's no evidence to point in the direction that the father stole it, because they never recovered the necklace. But the wealthy businessman, it wasn't stolen. So while the father's in prison, it shows that he hung himself, or at least that's as far as I know. So the son at the time is 14 years old, and he believed that his father was a thief, and he lived with that reputation, if you will, living under the shadow of his father, the thief that stole this highly expensive necklace from this wealthy family. So it goes on from there. Well, the father and the son's, one of the father's and son's favorite books is about it's called The Gentleman Burglar. And so from there, the show takes off. The gentleman burglar has many disguises. No one really knows him. He has one good friend that knows the truth about him and assists him in his escapades and so on and so forth. And so the gentleman burglar, he's not a violent guy. He just knows how to handle situations and stay two steps ahead of the authorities. So it's right up my alley. And I'm at the place where I don't even see the voiceovers anymore. It's that good. So I would recommend it. It's called Lupin. I haven't got much accomplished this Sunday, but what I'm going to do is tell you guys. Let me check the time because I can hear somebody getting up in the back. Yeah, 30 minutes. It's good. 30 minutes and I've colored 2 bikes. I've talked more than I colored, but who cares, right? You're here for the chit chat. All right, now drop in the comments. Let me know what you guys are watching at the time. Am I missing out on any British shows on Netflix, Hulu, Showtime, or anything like that? Let me know. Okay? Let me know what you're watching. And also, remember, comparison is the thief to joy. Do not compare yourself to others or your former self. Find joy in who you are today. Celebrate that, and so that you can look forward to who you will become in the future. All right? And until we're back here together on YouTube, guys, stay encouraged, stay blessed, stay creative and crafty. Bye for now.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe to join the crafty community, and be sure to click the bell for notifications of new uploads. Thank you so much for watching. Now stay tuned for more from Livie'S Lovelies, your inspirational craft channel. Bye for now.